Mr. Speaker, I rise today in this Honorable House on the government's strategy to improve the protection of sharks. Mr. Speaker, let me first address the burning question that I am sure is on many people's minds, is why? Why should we protect sharks? Well, sharks are at the apex predator, meaning they are on top of the marine food chain. They are essential to maintaining healthy marine ecosystems. Case in point, Mr. Speaker, as a result of the decline in shark numbers in the Atlantic Ocean around Bermuda, there is little control on the population of green turtles and their feeding behavior on the Bermuda platform. Green turtles have overgrazed Bermuda's seagrass beds, causing important habitat collapse. The disappearance of our seagrass habitat will not only impact our fisheries, as many of our commercial fish species begin their lives in seagrass beds, but it would also impact the quality of the surrounding water and reduce our resilience to climate change effects. Mr. Speaker, honorable members may be aware that sharks have been heavily fished all over the world, and because of this, many shark species are threatened and on the decline globally. A number of sharks are endangered to the point of being on the verge of extinction for several reasons, including slow reproductive rate. It takes a shark a long time to reach sexual maturity and reproduce. And the typical female shark produces few offspring per mating cycle. As a result, once a population is threatened, it can take a long time to recover. Targeted fisheries. Some species of sharks are targeted by commercial and recreational fisheries, which can result in overfishing. Many shark species have been harvested commercially for their meat, liver, and cartilage, as well as their fins. Local shark fishing is largely restricted to sharks used in traditional shark hash, dusky and gummy sharks, and for lobster bait. Shark finning. While shark meat isn't always considered valuable, many species are prized for their fins, which are used to make shark fin soup and traditional medicines. Finning is a cruel practice in which a shark's fins are lopped off and the live shark is then tossed back into the sea to die. Shark finning is currently illegal in Bermuda under the Fisheries Regulations 2010. Bycatch. Sharks are often unintentionally caught in the nets of commercial fishermen, along with the fish they are meant to catch. Sharks require forward momentum to breathe. When trapped in a net, they often die. Bermuda does not allow this use of these types of nets. However, there are some limited bycatch on methods allowed, such as hook and line. Mr. Speaker, in February 2020, at the 13th session of the Conference of the Parties in the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, CMS, a decision was taken to include the ocean white-tipped shark on Appendix 1 of the Convention. CMS. This appendix covers endangered species, migratory species. The giant manta ray was also added in Appendix 1 of the CMS in 2011. Appendix 2 of the CMS, which covers migratory species that have an unfavorable conservation status, includes a number of other sharks that are found in Bermuda waters, namely big-eyed thresher, poor beagle, silky, short fin mako, and hammerhead sharks. Restrictions on fishing for all these shark species have also been put in place by the International Convention for the Conservation of Atlantic Tuna, commonly known as ICAT. Bermuda is party to these conventions and is thus required to implement the increased shark protections. Mr. Speaker, at least 20 species of sharks have been found in local waters. A number of these species have only been observed occasionally, and the majority are considered by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, to be endangered, vulnerable to extinction, or close to being threatened with extinction. Due to research conducted in Bermuda, we know that most of the Galapagos sharks, known locally as duskies, and tiger sharks. Some of our tiger sharks travel to the Bahamas in the winter before returning here again when the waters warm up. Nurse sharks are found inshore and are one of the most docile sharks around. Unfortunately, they are very rare these days. We also occasionally see big-eyed thresher sharks and great and scalloped hammerheads close to shore. Lemon shark and reef shark have also been found in shallow water. In deep water, particularly around the Bermuda platform, we find the six-gill shark as deep as 6,000 feet and up to 16 feet in length, as well as the gummy shark, also known as a smooth dogfish. The gummy shark is not purely a deep water shark, though as it is often found right off the rocks too. These sharks have flat teeth, much like molars, designed for crushing their normal prey. Crustaceans like lobsters, crabs, and mollusks. Gulper shark, spiny dogfish, and small-toothed sand tiger sharks have also been caught in deep water. Offshore, in the oceanic waters, we find short-finned minnows, blue sharks, silky and ocean white tips, as well as the whale shark, which is the largest fish in the ocean, maxing out at 60 feet long. Surprisingly, this giant primarily eats microscopic plankton. The whale shark is currently protected as a Level 1 species under the Protected Species Act of 2003. A sand tiger shark was also found on Argus Bank. Last but not least, the great white shark has been seen occasionally well offshore in winter and early spring, as it prefers deep, cool water. Mr. Speaker, sharks in Bermuda have not been targeted on the industrial level by local commercial fishermen. We do have a relatively small-scale traditional shark fishery providing shark hatch. Current legislation already affords these sharks some level of protection, such as a prohibition of finning of sharks at sea, the requirements for a license to use fixed shark fishing lines, and lines with more than 5 hooks. That said, Bermuda can and needs to do more to protect these important species. Mr. Speaker, going forward, all sharks except for the Galapagos gummy and six-gill sharks are protected under the new legislation. These exemptions are given for cultural reasons and to allow for existing commercial fishing interests to continue at a well-managed level. It should be noted that the Galapagos shark is listed as being least concerned by the IUCN, and smooth dogfish and six-gill shark are listed as near threatened. Species are considered threatened and in need of the strictest protections when the IUCN lists them as critically endangered, or vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, recreational fishermen will not be permitted to take sharks and commercial fishermen will be required to obtain a special license to take the permitted sharks. These licenses will have terms and conditions attached, such as catch limits. Mr. Speaker, in regard to the great manta ray, I can confirm that in Bermuda there is no fishing for this gentle and beautiful giant of the deep sea. Further, we should make sure that there is not any in the future, and so ensure its protection while in our waters as a protected species under the Protected Species Act 2003. Mr. Speaker, in closing, the protections outlined in the Fisheries Protected Species Amendment Order 2022, the Fisheries Amendment Regulations 2022, and the Protected Species Notice of Intention 2022 show Bermuda's commitment to the global effort to protect important vulnerable migratory species, and will also facilitate better monitoring and management of species that are actively fished and live closer to the shore. In regards to mandatory consultation period for the proposed addition of the great manta ray to the Protected Species Act, the public has until April 10, 2022 to provide comment to the Director of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources on the Protected Species Notice of Intention. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.